All right, let's jump right into it. I'm gonna show you how you can turn this light, repurpose it into this light. All right, first up, what we're gonna do with this old light fixture, this kind of nasty floral, we've kind of redesigned the entire bathroom. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to clean this because it's all dusty and dirty. We're gonna take out the glass bowls, so we're gonna be replacing these. And then we need to clean this all off, get all the dust, everything off there. Then we're gonna sand it down with some sandpaper to give the paint something to grip onto. Now, the paint that we're gonna use is this Rust-Oleum Universal Metallic Paint and Primer in one. We're doing Satin, Nickel. Do the color of your choices. As you guys can see, this is wood, metal, plastic, and masonry. And we're using the paint and primer. That way I don't need to put a primer on this and wait for it to dry and everything. But we are going to follow the directions for dry time on this. That way it doesn't flake off or anything like that. But let me show you guys this entire process, then we'll show you the end result of what it actually looks like hanging up. All right, guys, I'm gonna show you guys how we did that exactly. So I've got 150 grit sandpaper here. You can pick these up at Harbor Freight for just $1 or so. What I've got here is I've taken out all the bulbs, okay? I've taken out the bulbs, the glass globes I've taken off, and I've removed all the screws that hold those globes. Now, you're gonna see right here where the screws go, you have these little screws right here. Take those off because you need to sand those as well, okay? There's 2 of them. Depending on your light, there might be more. So first thing you guys want to do, make sure that you're using a mask because this is going to chip off a lot of this paint and possibly some metal. You don't want that going into your nose, guys. So you're not going to hear me for a while because I'll be muzzled with this, but I'm going to just kind of start scratching this and we'll show you guys how it's done. All right, saved you guys a bunch of time. We went ahead and sanded this for you. Took about 10 minutes to really sand this very well. If you got an extra set of hands, grab someone else, help you sand this down. Make sure they have a mask on. Guys, like I told you, if you guys come in a little closer, you can see how much dust this kicks off. You don't want to be breathing that in. So please, please, please wear a mask and be safe. You should probably even wear gloves. I didn't have any on hand, and you should probably wear eye protection, which I didn't have. But what we did, guys, is you don't have to strip this thing down to bare metal, okay? That's not the objective here. All we're trying to do with this 150 grit is we're just trying to give the primer and the spray paint a surface to attach onto so that paint can really grab onto there. So all you need to do is just really scuff this up pretty good. We've done a good job of that. You know, these parts were pretty annoying trying to get around all the light fixtures, but we just ripped smaller little shreds. That way we could kind of get in there and do all of that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go clean this all off, get all this dust off. Then we're going to use a wet rag and we're going to clean this down because we don't want any of this stuff in the paint. Okay, so we're going to clean that down. Then we'll be ready to spray paint this. All right, guys, what we've got going on now is we've wiped this down with the wet rag. We vacuumed up any dust that was on here. I put blue tape, painter's tape, around these ceramic light fixtures on the inside. That way you're not getting paint in there. It's not going to mess with the electrical of this at all. So make sure to cover that on yours. What I also did is you can see all these screws right here. These are the screws that hold the glass globes in. I just poked a little hole, a bunch of little holes, and I placed those in there because you're going to want these to match the color of this, okay? So a lot of people forget about that, but make sure that you stand these up. You can stand them up in styrofoam or a cardboard box like this. But I'm just going to set this on there. We're going to actually take this outside of the shop so that we can spray paint it. And we're using this metallic paint and primer in one, okay? And it is a Satin Nickel that we're going to use on here. Now we followed the preparation, which was sanding this down, cleaning it off. Now let me just tell you about the dry and recoat times because we're just going to follow this to a T. We're not going to do anything special. So what we're going to do is we got to shake it up for about 2 minutes. After that, we're going to keep about 8 to 12 inches away as we spray going across, okay? And you'll see that in the video here. And here's the important time, dry and recoat times. And you're going to want to pay attention to whatever spray you have because every spray, every finish is going to be different, so read the can. This says, allow more time at cooler temperatures, which is pretty chilly out here. Dries to touch in 30 minutes, handle in 2 hours, and fully dry in 24 hours. Now with this, you can actually apply a second coat within the first hour, within 1 hour, or within 48 hours. So we're actually going to apply the second coat after the first hour. That way we don't have to wait a whole nother 48 hours. But make sure to read the instructions on the back, guys. That way you know exactly what the paint does for this. As you'll see as we get out there spraying, that we're gonna keep this kind of away from it, and we're just gonna do little bursts going across, keep it nice and even. You're not trying to drench everything, okay? Don't try to spray and cover everything in the first coat, because that's why you have 2 coats, okay? That's why it recommends 2 coats, because you don't want dripping to start to happen, so we're gonna lightly spray across. All right, let's take this outside and begin spraying. All right, guys, what we did is we sprayed this all down with the satin nickel. Now, you want to, when you're spraying it, as you saw, keep it away. Don't get so close to it, because what's going to happen is that paint's going to pool up, and then you're going to get these nasty overrunning lines and things. You don't want that. So keep it a distance away, 8 to 12 inches away, and spray kind of in passing patterns, okay? One going across, coming back. And remember, you're just trying to get a first coat all on that. We're coming back for a second coat. So you don't have to make this perfect right now, because if you try to do that, you're gonna get paint starting to pool up and it's not gonna cure right, okay? We did the screws as well. So now we're gonna let this dry for 1 hour, all right? And then we're gonna come back and spray it again. Once again, our can's telling us that we can spray the second coat within the first, right after the first hour, or 48 hours. So we're gonna go ahead and spray it within an hour. We're gonna let it sit out here in the sun. We're gonna let it kind of bake. That way it's a little warmer out here than it is in the workshop right now. And then we'll come back and spray that, and we'll show you guys the finished result when we hang it up. All right, guys, we've waited an hour, so now we're gonna put on our second coat of this, our last coat. Once again, with this paint, it says that we can put on a second coat within the first hour being done. So we're gonna spray everything down once again, and we'll get ready to hang this up. Make sure, guys, when you're doing this, that you've got, you know, something to go over your mouth, a respirator. All right, guys, here's the final product of our 5-light system that we redid. It was that nasty brown color. Look at that finish on that. It looks beautiful. You can't even tell it was spray painted. I'm really pleased with how this light turned out. So we'll be doing all the rest of the lights in the house as well in our bathrooms that we're remodeling with the satin nickel spray paint to get this beautiful look on them for a cheap price when you're redoing your bathrooms.